What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Colquitt's Corner, and today we're going to try something new. You know, these reaction videos are pretty popular on the internet and typically about music videos and other stuff, but today we're actually going to do a reaction video to Jim Cramer. A lot of retail traders watch him daily looking for advice, and he said some interesting things today, and I think today is very important too as well because the markets, if you haven't been keeping up with events lately, took a dip. We've been on a nice rally here, on an up and up since the market crashed back in March, into March, April, with the whole COVID thing, and we had a nice big rally, and we've taken that up, and today is our first major pullback, and it's pretty interesting. But Cramer has some word of advice for us. He's going to break down, but I really want to play to you his comments, in particular, where I feel like he's talking about us retail traders. So let's take a look at that, and then we'll dive into some of the topics he talks about. Take a look at some charts. What happens, Cramer?
If there's all this money being managed by novices who only understand how to chase momentum, is it really safe to buy before those weekends get completely blown out?
Is it?
Don't you also have to wait until the grizzled hedge fund guys who hated the market the whole way and missed the whole rally come on our air and say, I told you so? Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, these professionals are absolutely going to come on and argue that regular people aren't smart enough to manage their own money. It will sound very scary as well as painfully
out of a job, right?
They'll pronounce that this is merely the beginning of the decline. Of course, they have to do that because they have very little money in the market. They need stocks to go lower, and they need to justify why they've been so wrong to their own investors. So take their grim warnings with a grain of salt, please. Now, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of reasons to sell. I can think of many stocks that are still way too high, even after today's beatdown. There are whole sectors that should be untouchable to you, yet they've had incredible runs from the bottom. Most of these gains need to be repealed. That hasn't happened yet. Beyond the not-so-hot fundamentals, my big worry with these stocks is the shareholder base. You've got a ton of inexperienced investors coming off a big win streak, and they don't want to hear the truth. Like nobody wanted to hear the truth in 2000 when the dot-com started rolling over.
Who wants to hear that?
So let me lay out what's safe to buy here and what isn't, starting with the ones that aren't. Starting with the groups that genuinely worry me. Let's hear it for the oils.
Tell us about it, Cramer.
Now, this cohort has had a miraculous...
Okay, so we're going to take a look at some charts that relate to the four areas that Cramer talked about. But before we get into it, I am using Ichimoku as an indicator to help me find major support and resistance levels because that's ideally what we want to look for. And this indicator does a great job of pointing that out. I'm even using an indicator by IMTF Trade that helps me see multiple time frame support and resistance levels that are key to me, not just, random lines on a chart, but areas I think that are very significant. So you'll notice throughout my chart, not only do I have Ichimoku, but you'll see some black crosses, and I'm keying off of some of those areas for certain areas that I would like to see maybe some pullbacks to, or maybe some resistance that I could be running into, all right? So moving forward, if you take a look at crude here, all right, Ichimoku points it out, very simple, man, it's below the cloud, it's bearish, it's below the green line, it's below the red line, and it's going to take some time to get back bullish again, right? And so when looking through your charts, looking at other stocks that are related to the oils, you want to key off this chart and see, in relation to this, if you find some bullish ones, good. Those are the ones you want to look into, look for some pullback opportunities. If they're all looking like this chart, very bearish, then you got some time before you really get some opportunities. Could you get in? Sure. But just know you have some obstacles, right? You have multiple ceilings that you got to break through, okay? So keep that in mind, all right? When you're looking through those charts, it's exactly kind of how you want to pinpoint the good from the bad, narrow it out, get you a handful that you feel confident about, and roll through there. Okay, so now we took a look at some charts. Cramer talking about the four areas that he's not really interested in, and I showed you how a little bit to go through, finding some key support and resistance levels, and narrow down what it is you like. Now we're going to watch this next clip too on the second half of the video that he has, where he talks a little bit more about retail traders and a reference to gambling and all that great stuff, which I think is great because that's the one thing I definitely hear about a lot is trading like gambling, or you are gambling and so on. And, I look at it like this. Yeah, it's a gamble. It's a risk. So is life, right? But I always tell people I get to count cards, right? And what do I mean by that? You sit down, you play blackjack, and if you're a good card counter, 9 out of 10, you'll make some money, and then they'll kick you out the club. Research to me, and being able to have these charts and indicators and all that stuff is a way to count cards. At the end of the day, we're playing probabilities, and I'm using these charts and indicators and the research to help increase my probabilities into the day. So yes, even though it's still gambling to some degree, I'm putting together an educated assumption, basically where I want to get in. So, again, I like what Cramer has to say here. And as far as us retail traders, it's worth listening to. Looking yourself in the mirror. Are you a gambler, or are you taking this craft serious and actually doing the research? 90% research, 10% trading. So let's take a look here. And Cramer will also get into, if you watch the rest of the video, he'll get into some stocks that he really does like and that he thinks worth trading to. So now that I've showed you a couple tips on how to look at some charts, I would like for you to do the same. Go find some stocks that you like and you feel confident in, that are can outshine this recession and keep going and so on, and stay away from the ones that don't. All right?
So what's worth buying? Because there are weak-handed shareholders everywhere, you got to be careful right now. You might want to wait for a couple of days, maybe further shake out, because many of these gamblers, and that's the right word for them, have a real bad mindset.
So we are
now, I know, because I remember what it was like to be a novice investor. And right now, there are millions of inexperienced shareholders who are going to be making the same basic mistakes that I did when I got in this business.
Yeah.
Many of these people are so new, they've never even lost large sums of money in the market, which means they won't dump everything after one bad day.
Boy, they better be
careful.
careful.
What these guys are like, we got to go to the casino.
Yeah.
They're like gamblers at a roulette table. See, they've been playing black.
Let's spend
and black's won every single time. Maybe over the course of many days. Now, if you don't know statistics, you think it will just keep coming up black. Because what happens when you spin the roulette wheel? It comes up black. Today, though, came up red. Now, they're going to dismiss that as an aberration, assuming things go right back to normal tomorrow. But it doesn't work like that. Black might not come up tomorrow. And heaven forbid if 00 does. That's why you need to tread carefully when you buy tomorrow, because when these novices start capitulating, we could get another leg down. However, you should start putting money to work tomorrow. Yes, you have to. It's going to be horrible. It's going to hurt. It's Friday. You're going to think Monday's even worse. But when these guys are blowing up, when the guys who keep playing black and it comes up, you got to buy something from them. Where's the best place to go? All right, you go with companies that will be able to hit their numbers regardless of how badly this economy gets hit by all these new COVID hotspots.
Yeah.
Yep, with the second wave of COVID breaking out, it's time to go back to that Cramer COVID index.
If not now,
you want stocks with good yields and strong prospects that are well off their highs.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of Colquitt's Corner and my attempt at a reaction video this time. So it was fun to be interesting, and I definitely want to do a couple more, keep at this. But most of all, Jim Cramer is fun to watch. Being a retail trader, we all are entertained by his antics, but he's also got some great wisdom in there. And I really liked what he had to say, in particular about retail traders today. So I hope you got a little something out of it, especially a little bit more on how to do your own research and take advantage of the opportunities that come up in the stock market, like today with the stock market coming down. He suggests buying in tomorrow. If you don't, hey, I would maybe take this weekend and get ready for Monday and see what happens. All right, be prepared. That's the least you can do. I hope you enjoyed this video and all the other ones I have to offer on my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can also check me out on my social media. I'm particularly heavy on those when I post all my trades, things I like. You can follow me, comment, let me know what you feel, give me some feedback, and I look forward to seeing y'all again.